Cancer is a continuously growing global health problem that poses major challenges, most especially in developing countries. Find out how this international distributor of innovative health products came up with a series of solutions to help increase a patient's chance to survive the odds. In 2020, the Philippines hit a record of 354,398 prevalent cancer cases within a 5-year period. But because of poor access to health care, especially for people living below the poverty line, the advances and breakthroughs in cancer remain unattainable to many.
Cancer refers to a group of diseases that's characterized actually by cell growth, abnormal cell growth and proliferation, inflammation, as well as angiogenesis or formation of new blood vessels. It always starts with mutation in the genome or the genetic makeup of a person inside the cell. Before PPARs, most of my patients, they were unable to finish the chemotherapy regimens because of the side effects and because of discomfort during the process of chemotherapy.
Maria's son Dominic was diagnosed with stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma when he was only 4 years old. While coping with the recovery of her other sick child, Maria found it hard to accept Dominic's condition.
It was actually very devastating kasi with Dominic, it was manifested mga 4 years old na siya eh. Unlike dun sa daughter ko na congenital talaga, baby pa lang. Yung mga bandang September, meron nang umuumbok-umbok dito sa leeg niya. Hindi ko talagang iniisip na cancer kaagad siya until nag-nosebleed siya.
Dominic was prescribed chemotherapy, but his family insisted to rush to an integrative doctor to seek for alternative cure.
Medyo hesitant ako kasi as a mother, I know the side effects ng chemotherapy kasi. So what I did is that I rushed towards the integrative doctor of my daughter, who happened to be PPAR partner doctor of Simply Nature.
One of the hardest decisions to make for people living with cancer is choosing the kind of treatment that would work best. To help patients and their families deal with this growing health problem, one company commits to producing safe, credible, and natural health solutions by drawing on the latest bioscience technology to deliver a series of safe, efficient, and natural products. What is Simply Nature and what does it do?
Simply Nature is a company we created and founded about 10 years ago. Our mission is to find effective health solutions for people. So we provide natural products that work in combination with conventional therapy and medicine.
As an international company that provides natural solutions for cancer, metabolic syndrome, and degenerative diseases, the management upholds a health philosophy that centers on whole food nutrition as the frontier in health management.
When we talk about choosing treatment, especially in the area of cancer, patients are really afraid of chemotherapy because of its side effects, and they tend to then look towards natural products. But this is not a either conventional or natural choice. At Simply Nature, patients can have the best of both worlds. Our protocols work with conventional chemotherapy to minimize its side effects so that they can get the best treatment using both conventional and natural together.
Cancer is like a virus. It continuously evolves, it mutates. So it can develop defenses against our usual treatment modalities like chemotherapy.
Like I said, chemotherapy and radiation therapy have a lot of side effects. So more often than not, patients stop their treatment because of these side effects. It's very important to have the support.
With the supplements that we give the patients, there will be lesser side effects, so they will be able to finish their chemotherapy protocols more comfortably.
This company introduced PPARs, which is touted as one of the best natural ways of solving serious health problems.
PPARs stands for peroxisome proliferator activating receptors. It's basically a nuclear receptor found inside the cells. Now, when these receptors are activated, the benefit that you can get from that is, number one, cellular differentiation. Number two, it's to promote fatty acid metabolism. If you have better insulin function, your blood sugar will naturally go down. And another one is to induce cancer cell death by modulating the immune system.
As a sole distributor of PPARs, the company promotes its use to many reputable health institutions worldwide and actively organizes corporate health conferences and public health talks in Asia.
Simply Nature PPARs is made out of a special strain of these types of microalgae. It is very effective by protecting the bone marrow. We maintain the integrity of the immune system of the patient, which is very important to prevent infections and to fight off the cancer itself. And also, Simply Nature PPARs is also very dense in nutrients so that the patient can recover faster because of better cellular healing.
Sabi ko parang na-lead kami to an extraordinary and I must say amazing journey. I'm very proud of him. At a young age na 8 years old, he believed that it's his purpose to siguro encourage other people then. We would like to really pay it forward with the knowledge that there's really like Simply Nature that can help people with cancer very much.
When fighting cancer, living healthy is very important because it allows us to pursue what is important to us in life, and that's what it's all about. When we can help a patient move from being bedridden to getting up, to be lucid in thought so that they can have conversations with their loved ones, it gives the whole process of fighting cancer a whole new meaning. And that is what drives us at Simply Nature.
But I really wanted to share yung point from Chadao. So 100 years from now, it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I live in, or the kind of car I drove, but the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child.
Good morning, everyone. We are from Simply Nature, and that is Tito Shyan, and I'm Tita Jesslyn.
And you put on your chest, say, Jesus loves me.
Jesus loves me.
For our gratitude, Mr. Shyan.
Ha? Ito na ba ang mga sundalo ng Israelita? Maliit man ako sa iyong paningin, malaki ang aking Diyos. Tutulungan ako ng aking Diyos at lalabanan kita at tatalunin kita.
Nayanig ang paligid sa pagbagsak ni Goliath.
Si Mother Ricky, pasalamatan naman natin si Mother Ricky at palakpakan din natin siya kahit siya ay nasa ibang lugar ngayon.
Paano kayo di gagaling, di ba?
Pinupurit, sinasamba kita.
And Lord, we believe you for testimony for every child in this place. In Jesus' name we pray. And all God's people say, Amen. Hallelujah.
Nung 2022 po, yung parang inipon ko talagang pera pambili nung Simply Nature, nung vials, ng PPARS. Yun po yung iniinom ko.
Cancer lang siya, strong tayo. Kaya patuloy lang po tayong lumaban kasi may Panginoon tayong gumagabay sa atin lagi. Yun lang.
And on behalf of the Simply Nature team, God bless you all. Maraming salamat for blessing us this day. We hope that we have made you all happy. God bless you once again. Here in Simply Nature, we are always with you from start to healing. Thank you, everybody.
CA markers.
Mataas siya. Then, nung after 3 months, nung pag-take ko ng Simply Nature, doon, naging normal na siya until now. Kahit si Dr. Johan na gulat siya kasi biglang normal agad in just 3 months, nag-normal agad yung CEA ko. 1 year and 5 months. Cancer-free. Dapat may food supplements kayo. Like Simply Nature na proven and tested ko na. Talagang hindi ako pwedeng mawala ng Simply Nature na yun.
2019, I was being diagnosed a cancer of my uterus. So I was shocked. Sabi ko, bakit nagkaroon ako ng ganito? Samantalang hindi ako mahilig sa pagkain. I'm sorry, basura. Started the tablet and then the powder. Tinry ko din yung yung tawag dito.
Gel?
Yeah, yung gel. Yes. It's really good. After 2 months ng aking therapy and taking PPARS, sabi ni doktora, magpa-laboratory ka na. So, nung nagpa-laboratory na ako, praise God, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, lahat normal. To God be the glory. Salamat sa Diyos. Sa 2 months ko po ng aking pag-take ng PPARS, ako po ay cancer-free.
Hi everybody, good evening to all of you. My name is Sheila and you are watching an all-new episode of Simply Nature webinar. Tonight's topic is very close to my heart and is entitled Nasopharyngeal Cancer from Diagnosis to Recovery. So, without further ado, to give encouragement and insights about this condition, I'd like to call on the CEO and founding director of Simply Nature International, and also a successful entrepreneur and a seasoned international speaker on a wide range of topics such as personal success and health industry, also known as the PPARS expert from Singapore, Mr. Shyan Lim. Hello, Sir Shyan. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Sheila, and good evening to all our viewers. Good evening. Today is Maundy Thursday. Am I correct? Am I getting it right, Sheila?
Correct. It's Maundy. Maundy
Thursday. Yeah, we don't actually observe Maundy Thursday in Singapore. It's usually just Good Friday and Easter Sunday. So to everybody, have a happy, is it happy Maundy Thursday? Am I correct to even say that? No.
Let's just say a blessed Holy Week to everybody.
A blessed Holy Week to everybody. Thank you everybody for joining in tonight. Tonight is a very new and special format. In fact, we are doing this format from our usual Simply Healed program during the same time slot. So 2 weeks from now, Dr. Jansan Kalalan, our expert in cancer and lifestyle medicine, will actually join me back as a tag team couple. Yeah, no, we are both married, so don't worry. Yeah, but we are a couple at work together. So a big thank you to everybody. So tonight will be very interesting. We're actually going to look at a nasopharyngeal cancer case, live case, because tonight our usual host, Miss Sheila, is actually going to become our guest in a few minutes, right? Those of you who have attended our past webinars, I've always shared Dominic's story, and Dominic is actually Sheila's son. He came to me, they both came to me when Dominic was 4 years old. Sheila literally was carrying him in her hands, walking into my office. And I remember at that time, Dominic was just skin and bones. So it really touched my heart. And it was a journey. And now Dominic is all well. And Sheila was so excited about Dominic's recovery that now she is with Simply Nature. So Sheila, when Sheila supports and answers any of your questions, I just want to let everybody know that, you know, she's doing it from real life experience. She's not just answering your questions because she studied about the products and that she was trained in it. It's more than that. She herself has gone through that very challenging journey of having her lovely son, 4-year-old, go through that process, right? So Sheila, before we get started into the actual topic, and where you detail your journey about your chemotherapy, about the difficulties, and after this, everyone, we will have our usual AMA session, which is the Ask Me Anything session. So Sheila, there is a special guest that's going to help us with tonight's program, right?
You are correct, sir. That's actually, first off, you are correct. We have a support who will further explain what RMS or rhabdomyosarcoma actually is in the first place. And he's an expert specializing in cancer care, our lifestyle medicine doctor, Dr. Jansen Kalalan. Please watch this, guys.
Dominic's case is actually metastatic rhabdomyosarcoma. So this means that it is already in stage 4 and it is high risk. So for high-risk patients like Dominic, 20 to 30 out of 100 are still alive after 5 years. And for patients who have metastatic disease, they are 4 times more likely to die compared to those who have localized disease. There are actually 4 types of rhabdomyosarcoma, which are embryonal, alveolar, spindle cell or sclerosing, and pleomorphic. So Dominic's case is embryonal. This is actually the most common type of rhabdomyosarcoma, which almost always occurs in children. It usually occurs in the head and neck area and the genitals. Usually, it is found in children less than 10 years of age, and most especially in those who are less than 5 years of age. Rhabdomyosarcoma is actually a very rare cancer. It only occurs most of the time in children, and among children, where it is most commonly found, it only occurs less than 3% of the time. Some of the common metastatic areas of rhabdomyosarcoma include the lungs, the bones, liver, lymph nodes, brain, and the spinal cord. So what are the treatment options for rhabdomyosarcoma? So that would be surgery, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and the more experimental ones, which are immunotherapy and targeted therapy. Now, the treatment options that would be used to treat patients would largely depend on the staging. For Dominic, since Dominic is stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma, the tumor was not removed surgically anymore since the tumor is also located in a very sensitive area in the body. So what his doctors utilize is actually chemotherapy and radiation therapy. So for parents out there whose child is undergoing chemotherapy and radiation therapy, please make sure that you have effective radiation and chemotherapy support. Since these treatments are quite toxic to the body, these can significantly affect the quality of life of your kid, which can have a big impact on the physical, mental, and emotional health of your child.
Thank you, Dr. Jansen, for explaining further what rhabdomyosarcoma. I'm sure a lot of our viewers tonight, which is, by the way, just before we continue, sir, may I shout out to Miss Jeanette of Child House here in the Philippines. Hello, Miss Jeanette. Good evening, and thank you for watching us. And of course, we also have viewers coming from Malaysia. Thank you so much for watching us. We also have a lot of medical practitioners joining us tonight. Thank you so much.
All right, for all the medical practitioners, you should join us for our Doctors Forum, which we will be having later this month, I believe. That's a very technical session where I will be presenting the protocols that we will be discussing today. But for the Doctors Forums, I will go deeper into the method of action. All right, so Sheila, let's jump into tonight's live interview with you, to get into the details. First of all, how old was Dominic when he was first diagnosed with his cancer, and how did you guys notice that something was not right, and what was the process, and what was the initial diagnosis and prognosis by your uncle?
Okay, well, it actually started way back September 2018 when he was only 4 years old. So it actually started June of 2018 when he had this on-off colds. So as usual, as a parent, we went to different ENTs out there, and what we usually were given was antibiotic for 7 days, and then after that it will be gone, and then after that it will come back again. Okay, so up until September 2018, that's the time when we experienced the nose bleeding. So at first, since I didn't have any idea about this, I never thought that it was already cancer. So we rushed him to an ER, and that's the time that where we got referred to an ENT surgeon already. And even just during the checkup, when they sneak into his nose in his clinic, he already found out that there's a tumor inside the nose. So right there and then, same month, September of 2018, Dominic underwent the biopsy, and that's actually where it all started. That it got really confirmed that Dominic had potential cancer. So we were referred to different hospitals to undergo chemotherapy. So what
was your initial response? Yes. When you were told that Dominic had to go for chemotherapy, and at this point, did they know what stage the cancer was at?
I see. At this point, not yet. No staging yet. They did further biopsies after the first and initial biopsy. But Sir Shyan, I just want to let everybody know that Dominic is not my only warrior. I also have another warrior, which is my eldest. She's a brain tumor warrior. So during the time when Dominic got diagnosed, it was actually the time when we were actually getting back up and getting back up from all the misery, all the problems that we had in the past years. So when I had Dominic, I actually thought that Dominic was like an answered prayer to our family to balance out everything, because of course, we really tried our best to always be positive, to to always accept things as they are. But there are phases that you have to really go through, and we went through all those. And then after those, come right, Dominic got diagnosed again with cancer. For us personally, it was really, really devastating, especially for me as his mother. So by the time that we got told that he has to undergo chemotherapy, I knew that chemotherapy had so many side effects. So this is what I always tell our patients here in Simply Nature. I understand the point wherein you are very hesitant to go for the treatment. I've gone through that. I am very hesitant for him to experience those side effects. That he'll vomit, he'll lose his hair. Yes, all those things. I was very, very scared for him, to the point that I actually really thought that I hope it was just me who got diagnosed, not my son, not my daughter, or things like those. It was that devastating. And what we did is that we rushed towards our integrative doctor, who is also the integrative doctor of my daughter Nina. Is it okay to mention the doctor, Sir?
Yeah, sure. I think she's comfortable because she's actually one of the doctors that work with Simply Nature. In fact, that's why she referred you to us. Yes.
Yes. She's actually a PPAR partner doctor. She's Dr. Medi Idodolion of HICC, or Holistic Integrative Care Center.
Actually, Sheila, when you went to an integrative doctor, obviously you were trying to find a natural way to treat Dominic, and you didn't want to go through the chemotherapy.
Exactly. I was really hoping for her to tell me that, you know what, we have a solution for you so that Dominic will not undergo chemotherapy. That is what
That's what you wanted to hear, right?
Yes,
as a mom.
Exactly. So when I went to Doc Medi, and she reviewed all the documents, all the biopsies, the laboratories and scans. And then she was about to talk to me. She was actually the one begging me to go for chemotherapy. And so
I'm sorry, Sheena, I just want to take this opportunity to also say, to many of our viewers out there, and to the many medical practitioners that are attending our seminar tonight, I think there are many viewpoints that we know, but we're hearing straight from a mom of a patient, right? Which is number one, that for the medical practitioners, I think you can hear how convicted a parent is to try and avoid chemotherapy. And to all those who are looking for natural solutions, I think it's so important to go to the right integrative doctor. There are many integrative doctors that would always say, let's go natural. And I always prefer, if you were to go to an integrative doctor, to make sure that that doctor is actually a full medical doctor. It's an MD. The nice thing about an MD versus an arbolario, am I correct? Is that the right term?
Albolario, yes.
Albolario is this. Integrative doctor who has a background as a full medical doctor will know when to not just rely on natural. So that means they are able to appreciate both the conventional and the natural, and that they will make the right recommendation for yourself or for your loved ones. So sometimes I think it is a bit risky if you just approach a natural doctor, because a lot of times they are not MDs, so they may not be aware of critical situations. So in your case, Doc Medi is an integrative doctor. I know Doc Medi very well. I know she uses protocols like IV vitamin C and ozone and things like that. Yet when she saw Dominic, she insisted. In fact, she begged you. So it's the integrative doctor that's begging the patient's mom to go for chemotherapy. Did she say why?
She did. But it's just basically because of the malignancy and the aggressiveness of the cancer that Dominic had. And I think she begged me, because I was really crying that time and asking her, are you sure there's really no other option? So she convinced me to really go for the chemotherapy. But one thing that I will never forget that she told me is that go for chemotherapy, but not chemotherapy alone. Go to Simply Nature and have him go to a chemotherapy together with PPARS. I was PPARS was something
Something new to you.
Yes, very, very new to me. And that's the time that I think few days after that, we went to your office.
Yes.
And guys, I just want to, I think I haven't really thanked Sir Shyan personally. I have thanked Simply Nature for
many times.
Yeah, I have. Okay, but it's just because it's with Simply Nature that I've learned to to ask questions, to not just accept what doctors will tell you to do. And this is also where I learned to look beyond the treatment. What Sir Shyan and you have Sir San before that time. They told me that there's really hope, and there's we can have Dominic undergo chemotherapy, mitigating the side effects of chemo. So it was that first day that we've met. It was like all too good to be true. But
too good to be true, but it is true because Dominic is well today. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and as I was also with my husband at that time, and we were all out. Well, let's do everything for Dominic. Let's try this. Let's do this, and that is also what you told me. Get all the help that you can get for the patient, so we can. There's no regrets in the end. Something like that.
And I think this is so useful. Thank you for sharing, Sheila, because it's very encouraging to all the cancer patients out there and to all the medical practitioners out there. I think we have to, very important for Dominic's success story, is to realize that it's not a this or that. It's not completely natural or only chemotherapy. I think when we are fighting cancer, 15% here, 20% here, 30% there, that all adds up to the success of the patient getting well. And more important than getting well is to make sure that the cancer doesn't come back. So sometimes, you can treat cancer and very successful. I have met so many cases of, for example, the most common cancer is breast cancer. And today, breast cancer can be treated with, especially if you're only stage 2, almost a 95, 100% success rate. That means most breast cancer patients are able to beat the cancer the first time. However, the thing that's not so good is that many of these breast cancer patients have a relapse within like 2 years. So one particular patient I did know, who she herself is a doctor as well, had a very successful breast cancer treatment. She went for chemotherapy in the beginning and then immunotherapy. And today, all these breast cancer protocols are very, very effective. That means you will beat the cancer with a 90% chance. All right. But however, what happened was that the cancer came back. Now, when the cancer comes back, it is adapted to the first treatment that you use. That means whatever killed the cancer the first time won't work again anymore. So for this particular doctor, she actually died from the relapse. All right. So her life was extended by about 3 to 4 years. The second time when the cancer came back, it was very aggressive and it was fast. I just found out that she got it, and the next thing I know, she had passed on. So I just want to share with everybody tonight, when we talk about treating cancer, we've got to also understand the way you treat cancer will determine how successful you will be in keeping cancer free for the rest of your life. You sort of can treat cancer the first round and doom yourself to a recurrence if you do it wrongly. So ask me questions about this topic if this interests you later. So Sheila, I remember you came to my office, me and my wife saw, and then it really touched our heart. And that is why Miss Janet is here tonight also. And I just want to give a shout out. Miss Janet does this amazing work. It's called Child House. All right, what they do is that they house or they give a place to stay for all the cancer kids who are coming from the province to PGH, right? Because these kids have free chemotherapy sessions from grants from PubCor and all the government donations. However, it's amazing that the kids and their parents go into the hospital for chemotherapy, and then later they sleep on the streets because they are from the province, and obviously they are financially very challenged, or else they don't need a grant from the government, right? So Child House actually houses all these kids and gives them a place to stay, and not only them, but also their parents, and give them food to eat and a good clean environment. I actually visited a Child House. It's nicer than some people's house in the sense of cleanliness and very orderly. Not that it's luxurious, but it's just very nicely done up. So it's a wonderful thing. So I'm very happy to have Janet join us here, especially since we're talking about pediatric cancer, which is Dominic's case. And if any of you would like to support Child House, just drop us a note, so that we can direct you to them. But again, it started with Dominic, and now we're continuing. We're supporting children who are going through cancer. And this is something that is somewhat of an advocacy for us and a corporate social responsibility as well. So sorry Sheila, back to Dominic's story. So this is the picture of Dominic, everybody. Let's take a look. This is Dominic. Sheila, this is Dominic before, or when was this picture taken?
This is the first day of chemotherapy. Because
before or after his chemotherapy?
The first day that he got his first.
Has he taken the chemotherapy when you took a picture like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, guys, I just want you to take a note. This is the first day Dominic took chemotherapy. So, what is very surprising here for many people is that, don't be mistaken, this is not Dominic being thin and with his lymph nodes swollen. It's not a result of chemotherapy. This is just the result of his cancer. So you don't get like that in 2 hours, right? So this is what Dominic looked like when he walked into my office before even 1 day of chemotherapy. So the next shot is the one that's really encouraging, right, Sheila? Can you tell us the shot? Can you explain to us on the right that Dominic that looks like he put back weight, his lymph nodes, the swell is gone? Is this a before picture?
This is after the few sessions already of chemotherapy.
So everyone, here's the good news straight on. You can they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Let's take a look at this particular nasopharyngeal cancer case. Before chemotherapy is the picture on the left, the one with the IV drip. The after chemotherapy is the one on the right, where you see his lymph nodes is gone. Look at him, and you see the color in his face and the brightness of his eyes, right?
I just want to add more to this, sir, because like after the first few sessions, we like in the whole journey of your chemotherapy, you'll be having CT scans in between to see the improvement or the progress of the chemotherapy, right? But just before we had that CT scan in between his chemo journey, we always say this in Simply Nature. We are very honest that most especially in the first doses of chemotherapy, you will actually experience some of the side effects. That's true, okay? But it is very manageable. And what I've noticed with Dominic is that when he vomited, okay, it was supposed to go out of his mouth, right? But it went out through his nose. So that's the time that we noticed and we knew that, hey, the tumor is already diminishing and it's lessened now.
Because his nose should be blocked because he has nasopharyngeal cancer. So the fact that the vomit can come out from his nose is a positive sign.
It is a positive sign. And that's just because of the first few sessions. Because right after the other sessions of chemotherapy that we had with him, most especially the ones that we got confined, which is every 21 days, I've seen Dominic had different reactions.
So that's very good. First, Sheila, what was the protocol that Dominic had go through for the entire year? Can you give us an overview? How many sessions of chemotherapy? Did he do anything up from chemotherapy?
Yes. So we've started the chemotherapy around November of 2018. And every 21 days, we had to be confined because he had to be given 3 kinds of chemotherapy drugs. We call it VAC for the rhabdomyosarcoma. And in between the 21 days, every week we have to go to the hospital because there's this called the push or the outpatient type of chemotherapy as well that he has to be given. So all in all, up until September 2019, we roughly have 30 sessions of chemotherapy. That's a combination of outpatient and inpatient for Dominic. But in
Okay,
between
30.
30, yes, correct.
30. So everybody, normal adults only go for 8 to 12 sessions. So you can imagine how difficult it is for Dominic to go through 30 sessions. Yeah, that's it's amazing. And the reason why it's common for kids to actually go for many sessions of chemotherapy because they are growing. And because they are growing, their growth hormones, their body actually facilitates the growth of cancer as well, because the child itself is in the growing stage. So all the hormones and nutrition is also feeds the cancer. So that's why for children, their chemotherapy is actually very aggressive. But he didn't only do chemotherapy, right? He also did radiation.
Yes, it's actually funny because some of the right after the few sessions, we were sorry.
Yeah.
We always bring that because we are expecting him to like vomit, or that's the expectation. But we didn't use it anymore because there was no vomit anymore. And even during the time that the IV chemotherapy was in his palm or his hands, he was actually and just watching TV, not just sleeping like the first few sessions. So apart from chemotherapy, around February to April, on an everyday basis, weekdays, Dominic underwent radiation as well. So that's of course too because he had metastasis on his neck and also in his abdomen. So that is the reason why he had also have to undergo with that, and it's part of his protocol.
So at that time, Dominic, what was his protocol? Together with chemotherapy, he was taking Simply Nature protocols, right? What did Dr. Maddie recommend for him?
He was recommended to take 1 vial per day of Simply Nature liquid extract, and at the same time to take the Simply Nature PPARS tablets. Okay.
Yes, to our audience later, just in about 2-3 minutes, I'm going to explain to you how the method of action, how it actually works. How come Dominic did so well with chemotherapy? However, some of you may be wondering, maybe Dominic was one of those children who naturally did well with chemotherapy. That was also possible. However, in this particular case, we know that's not the case because there was a period of about 1 month, or was it 2 or 3 weeks? Sheila did not have access to the liquid extract. So what happened to Dominic in the middle of the chemotherapy session? You weren't able to access the liquid extract for about during that month. What happened to Dominic?
We rushed him to the ER. That's just because he had an everyday fever. So of course it's like an alarming thing for patients during that time, and we had to go to the ER to stay there for 5 days for treatment. Because if we won't be able to resolve this fever issue with him, we won't be able to go through the next session of chemotherapy. So that is what happened. So his body weakened, and we've noticed that his hair was starting to fall out.
That was the moment. That was 1 month that he didn't have access to liquid extract. Okay, so what happened when you managed to get back in touch with us and we managed to get you the liquid extract? Was there a difference in the chemotherapy after that?
The weakening was gone already. So during the time that there was no PPARS liquid, his body was really weak. But when we had the liquid again, we've noticed the energy came back. And
how fast?
Just few days after taking the liquid again. So we've noticed also his aura. We say it's aura, like the
Countenance,
yes,
right?
exactly. And I've mentioned because by the time that his hair was already falling, we had to shave it because it's starting to look not so good anymore. So by the time that we got back to the liquid extract, we've noticed that it was quite growing again. Even the nails, I think I've told this to a lot of webinars of ours already. During the time that we had the PPARs and the chemotherapy, his nails are growing really quick, really good as well. In comparison to what we are expecting that cells will not be growing that easily like a normal person, but his is just like a normal person that doesn't have it.
Actually, a little bit of a tidbit for all our viewers. Those of you who take PIPA protocol, and it's not only for cancer patients. So for myself, I take the PIPA protocols as well. Of course, I don't take the liquid extract because I don't have cancer. I do take the PIPA tablets. And my fingernails, I've actually measured them. My fingernails grows 4 times faster than a normal person's. So this is especially in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. If your hair and your nail grows very quickly, that's usually a good sign because these are the least important, least important parts of your body. So if your nails and your hair is growing fast, it's a good sign that the rest of your body is healthy because that means the body has the energy or the excess nutrients to make your nails and hair grow fast. All right. So if your nails and hair isn't growing, that means these nutrients and in other words, a simple term is like the overall level of energy or in your body is being used by other organs. The fact that your nails and hair can grow, it means that you have sufficient for your body's good functioning. So when a cancer patient's nails grows well, that is a good sign that the rest of the body is doing well. So that must have been very encouraging to you. You know, I have a picture of this. This is Dominic after 38 sessions of chemo and radiation therapy, our champion, right? So his hair is still shaved. But look, he has a nice roundness to him. He has a nice roundness to him, and this is really good. I had the privilege of visiting Dominic at PGH, and I had a conversation with your husband, Dawn. I asked Dawn what happened to the other kids that went through chemotherapy with Dominic. As parents, I'm sure you meet up with each other quite often because you bump into each other at the hospital when when your kids are doing chemo. So could you share with us? I asked Dawn, what was the survival rate? Of course, you don't know for sure, but based on just your observation, how were the other kids doing in the cancer ward?
It's, as you know, we are in PGH and we are in a charity ward back then. So you are correct to say that we get to talk to each other, and it's heartbreaking to see some kids, most especially those who have bone cancers, to be
very
really
painful.
Even during the night time that everybody's asleep, kids are really crying.
Wow.
So it was really heartbreaking. And also to know some parents who lose their kids along the way.
So what was the survival rate? I mean, from your observation, a quarter, how many kids disappeared while Dominic was there?
Couldn't say the exact number.
Yeah, definitely, because we won't know for sure. Some of them could have gone to a different hospital. Yeah, but what's your heart feel?
My heart, I think it was, I think it's like 25 or 50% of the kids out there. And also according to Dr. Jansen a while ago, right? It's around 20%
survive,
this type of condition. So, like I said, it was really heartbreaking to see other kids who not able to make it, and to meet a lot of parents out there who are also who have undergone such experience.
So I think it's really important tonight what we're trying to share here from Dominic's testimony and his process, his journey, is that there is hope. Again, we start with this idea that chemotherapy is damaging and it could cause the cancer patient to die. Instead of from cancer, it's from chemotherapy. That is a very valid concern. But tonight we wanted to show everybody and share the good news with everybody. There is a way where you can minimize or mitigate a huge percentage, anywhere between 70 to 90% of the devastating side effects of chemotherapy. And there's nothing better than a life success story to show us the potential. This could be you. This could be your kid successfully going through chemotherapy. And, Sheila, thank you for saying that you didn't want chemotherapy. You went to a doctor that uses natural therapy, and thank goodness Doc Maddie is a full-fledged MD. So she didn't just say, stay natural, don't go for chemo. She knew that Dominic needed chemo because his cancer was aggressive, right? And this is Dominic after 38 sessions, grueling sessions of chemo and radiation therapy. Obviously not easy, but look at him. He's doing well. And I like the next picture because the next picture is, this was Dina's birthday party, right? And Dominic, her brother, look at him. This is, I think 1 year, is it 1 year after the last?
Few months after, because he finished his chemo at around September 2019. This picture was taken February 2020.
So I just want to show everybody in different phases where Dominic really went through. This is his journey. So Sheila, congratulations. I think Dominic celebrated the 5th year remission. Is it?
Almost there, sir.
Almost there. 4th year. I know PGH has like a certificate award ceremony that you make it past a certain time or something like that, right? Right. Yeah, and Dr. Ignacio, who is the head of the cancer center in PGH, I know you talked to him. So this is again a wonderful case study, and we will dive into the details. But is there anything you want to add and encourage before I talk about the science behind what we saw tonight?
I just want to reiterate, this is why I am this convicted. When I talk to patients, when I talk to caregivers who inquire or who ask about PPARs, because I've seen it, I've witnessed it, and I myself was amazed. And I always say this, that I think it was God's intervention for me to be led to Simply Nature. And like what you said, if maybe we've gone to an irresponsible doctor who will just say, yeah, go natural or just go for chemo, things might have been different.
Dominic might not be here celebrating Holy Week. This week, you actually have something really to be thankful for, to the Lord, right? Amen. Praise God.
Always. And I am very, very, I always say this, I'm very, very thankful for all the people who have been part of this journey up until now that we are in remission. And I always say this, even now that we are in 4th year remission, we are still vigilant. And I'm still learning a lot from Sir Shyan, from Doc Jansen, from all the doctors, even from Doc Medi. All the things there that as much as possible I can apply to Dominic so that we can prevent the recurrence and relapse. So
yes, it's so important because when cancer comes back, it's very much more aggressive the second time than the first time, because these are the same cancer. It's not a new cancer. So again, for patients who are joining us in our program, when a cancer comes back, it's not a new cancer. It's the old cancer that managed to survive. But then you will ask, but according to the doctors, I'm cancer-free. According to the doctors, to help everybody understand, when a doctor says you're cancer-free, it means that they cannot detect any cancer in you. The key word is that they cannot find any cancer. But cancer cells can be very, 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 very small. For example, you often don't realize you have cancer until you have 3rd stage cancer, until they are big enough to be detected. So just because you successfully finish your cancer treatment, for example, surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation therapy, and you are considered cancer-free, your cancer markers are normal, that does not mean that you do not have those cancer cells in your body. Not at all. It only means that they are not big enough to be detected. Based on the recurrence rates of different types of cancer, for example, for ovarian cancer, the recurrence rate is 80%. Yes, you heard me right. 8 out of 10 ovarian cancer survivors, the cancer will come back. So that just goes to show, even though after their surgery, usually is a full hysterectomy, that means they remove the womb, everything. They go for chemotherapy, and yet there's an 80% chance that their cancer will come back. So again, when we fight cancer, please do understand what Sheila has shared, that just because you beat the cancer the first round, it's not over. You really have to be vigilant, because it's a good chance. If you ask me personally, I would say it's almost certain that you still have those cancer cells in your body. Now, what you want to do is to make sure that your body contains them, kills them. Unlikely that it will kill all of them, but you want to make sure that the cancer cells are so small and so little that it will take decades, all right, or a very long time for it to even pose a health risk at all. For those who are 50, 60 years old, if it takes another 20 years for your cancer to become a tumor again, it's not an issue to you at all, right? Because by then, it's time to go home. You will be dying of old age, and there's nothing that tumor can do to you, right? For younger children like Dominic, of course, we have to be very, very vigilant to make sure that their immune system continues to suppress and prevent the cancer from ever developing into a stage where it can actually threaten your life again. So again, I hope this is a very important mindset, and thank you. Sheila, can I just check with you? It's been 4 years, almost 5 years now. What are you doing to keep Dominic cancer-free? What is his protocol that he's going through right now?
Well, from in terms of PPARs, during the chemotherapy journey, of course we were in liquid, but now we are in like low dose of powder extract now. So
how often do you take the powder extract?
For Dominic, since he's a kid, it's like at most 2 to 3 per day, but sometimes he can just go by 2 per day, 2 scoops per day of
Does he take it every month, or there is that means he skips a month, or is it every day?
As much as possible, I still give it on an everyday basis, and low dose of PPARS tablets now.
All right.
Just for me.
So that means for 4 years, you have still been giving him the extracts.
Correct.
And I saw Dominic just now, he showed me a certificate, right? He has what's that certificate for?
Well, with honors, because it's the second periodical grading in his school, so he once again got high honors in his grades. Thank you, Lord, for that.
Okay, I think this is another thing. Thank you, Dominic, for doing well in school, right? Because again, I think one of the fears of any parent is, oh, my child went for chemotherapy and radiation therapy. Did it damage his brain? Is he going to be not as smart as the other student, right? So this is now a concern, and thank you, Dominic, for topping your class, okay? Because you have proven to all those out there that no, it's you can, all right? But again, like what you say, Sheila, what we say, you have to take steps to make sure that your child or any cancer patient, be it adult or even elderly, is kept healthy.
Right. Even during the chemo days or chemo journey days, he was bubbly. I can say he was also smart that time. And yeah, I'm for me as a parent who has a son who has undergone all these things, all these difficulties, this part of having honors in his grades is just a bonus or like an icing on top of the cake, that a very special bonus coming from God. So
yeah, amen. If you survive cancer, you shouldn't aim low after that in life. Right? If you've been given a second lease in life, I think we should go for the best. So I expect Dominic to be a scholar, right? Maybe a Simply Nature scholar. Okay, let me take this opportunity to then let's go into a bit of the science so that everybody can understand what's happening, what happened to Dominic. Okay, let's take a look at this slide. Okay, this slide is bone marrow cells. Okay, this bone marrow cells. You can see on top what happens is that when a bone marrow cell is exposed to chemotherapy, and it will be exposed to chemotherapy. Okay. Now, everybody, you have to understand there are different types of chemotherapy. Yes, there are targeted chemotherapies. Nowadays, they inject chemotherapy into the location so that it doesn't spread around too much. But again, chemotherapy in general is often used because it can go to different parts. It can saturate the whole body, right? Now, chemotherapy is also the only protocol for conventional doctors when your cancer has spread. You know, for example, if you have liver cancer, or in Dominic's case, if the cancer spreads, metastasis, which means the cancer has spread, there will be multiple tumors in different locations, and that becomes inoperable. That means you cannot use surgery to remove them. And sometimes, like in Dominic's case, the location of the tumor cell near the brain makes it very difficult, or makes the surgery very risky. So then chemotherapy is the only, I guess, effective protocol left. And the advantage of chemotherapy is the chemotherapy goes throughout the whole body, right? That's why when your cancer has spread to more than one location, you go for chemotherapy, because it enters your bloodstream and travels throughout your body to wherever the cancer is. Okay? And this is also the reason why you have this thing called preventive chemotherapy. You know, sometimes patients come and ask me, hey, is the oncologist trying to make extra money from me? I thought I'm cancer-free already. Why did he recommend another 3 more rounds of chemotherapy? You know, so for example, yeah, especially patients who are not medically familiar, they don't understand why, for example, they have been declared cancer-free. Why are they still going for chemotherapy sessions? It's because of what I said earlier. Just because you cannot detect the cancer cells doesn't mean that it's not there. It's probably there. So where is it hiding? We have no idea. It could be, it's in the bloodstream, and it could be in most common places where cancer spread is always your bone, okay, your liver, your lungs. This is the reason. The reason for this is where the blood really goes to. The blood goes to your lungs to be refreshed with oxygen. That's why that means if the cancer cells went into your blood vessel, it will travel to your lungs, or it will travel to your liver, which is used to filter your blood, right? So these are the reasons why cancer usually spreads to the lungs, to the liver, and to the bone, okay? So when it spreads to the bone, it's very dangerous, even if you survive the cancer, because the bone is where your blood cells are created. So your bone has this thing called bone marrow blood stem cells, right? Bone marrow stem cells. So these stem cells will mature. That means they will change. They will grow old and become red blood cells and white blood cells. All right. So we all are very familiar. When you talk about white blood cells, we know it's part of your immune system. Okay. So that is why if you are a patient who became cancer-free because of chemotherapy, but if the chemotherapy destroyed your bone marrow cells, like what you see on the picture here, your bone marrow cells, then your blood cells, your blood stem cells in your bone marrow don't develop into white blood cells, which means your immune system is broken. I'm using a simple word. It's broken, it's compromised, right? This is why your cancer comes back. Okay? Those cancer cells that survive and are undetectable because they're so small, the immune system is not cleaning them up. It's not killing these small cancer cells. It's not controlling them because the bone marrow is already damaged. You're not producing the soldiers to go and kill these small cancer cells that are left over. All right. So it's so important when you go for chemotherapy, you have to find a way to protect your bone marrow because that's your immune system. In fact, if you're going through chemotherapy, if your red blood cell count and your white blood cell count drops, you cannot continue with the chemotherapy. And that's also bad news because you're only halfway through the battle, right? You're killing Yeah, halfway through the treatment, and then they say you can't continue with the treatment. It's almost like you went through the first half of suffering for nothing. Right? For chemotherapy, it's all or nothing. You have to finish the sessions for it to work. Okay, so what we can see here, I'm going to show next slide, is this. When the bone marrow cells, when the patient uses Simply Nature liquid extract, it will protect the bone marrow cell. So you can see C, okay? You look at the middle line is the one without Simply Nature PPARs, all right? It's just the chemotherapy drugs. You can see the bone marrow cells are broken. On top of your screen, that's a healthy bone marrow. The middle is chemotherapy, what chemotherapy will do to your bone marrow. And this is easy to find out because whatever drugs the doctor has prescribed you, you can simply Google side effect and the drug name. For example, cisplatin, what are the side effects of cisplatin? And they will tell you it damages the bone marrow. Okay, so this is it's easily it's very evident. Okay, now the last at the bottom, this is chemotherapy using Simply Nature PPAR liquid at the same time. You notice it looks a lot like what? The picture on top, which means that the chemotherapy does not destroy or damage your bone marrow cells. So this is why Dominic did so well compared to the other patients that are undergoing through chemotherapy. And I hope when you see this, you realize that chemotherapy is effective in destroying cancer, but it has its downsides. If you use Simply Nature PPAR liquid to protect yourself from the downside of the chemotherapy, then chemotherapy plus Simply Nature PPAR liquid becomes a wonderful, effective cancer protocol because you can manage the side effects, right? So and another thing, this slide shows that if you use Simply Nature PPAR liquid together with chemotherapy, you don't lose weight. The body weight maintains. Of course, after about 1 month of using chemotherapy, you will still lose weight. But we are looking at the first 4 days, right? So the pink line is when you just take the chemotherapy drug. Okay, in this case, it's oxaliplatin. Oxaliplatin and cisplatin is used for more than 14 different types of cancer. So it's one of the most common chemotherapy drugs, and that's why we tested our products with it. I think this is something very encouraging for every cancer patient, because if you go out and ask anyone who's recommending any supplement to you or any kind of natural treatment, I have not come across many. In fact, to be honest, I've not come across any natural treatment that has tested itself with a chemotherapy drug. I believe, to my knowledge, we are the only ones who bother to test it with chemotherapy drugs, right? So we can really show what happens when you go for chemotherapy and are taking our product. So this is what happens. You stay at the green line, co-treatment. So you notice your body weight doesn't drop. Now, this is so important. We saw this picture of Dominic. He is actually thinner before the chemotherapy, before the Simply Nature PPAR liquid, and he actually put on weight and looks a lot stronger after chemotherapy. For most people, the picture is reversed. This is before chemotherapy, and the one on the left is after. But yet, in Dominic's case, when he went for chemotherapy, liquid PPAR, he actually looks better. And when he finished his 38 sessions, this is how he looked, right? So I hope this encouragement to everybody who now sees that there's hope. Okay, the science behind it is all here, all right? It's a bit technical, so I won't go into it. We will discuss this in detail when you go for the doctor's forums, for those who are medical practitioners with us tonight. I just want to add another few benefits of PPARs and how it helps a cancer patient. Our PPAR protocol does this thing called improves cell delineation. Okay, I know that's a big word, right? But what it does is that it helps your cells to grow up and mature correctly. Okay, why is this important? This is very important for your immune system, because when you have cancer, usually there's something wrong with the maturation of your immune system. That means, and of course, if you have cancer and you're going through chemotherapy, you will find that your red blood cell count, white blood cell count drops. What is happening? What is happening is that when your stem cells in your blood, in your bone marrow, let's just use an example of going to school. Okay, a stem cell is a kindergarten kid. Okay, your kid in kindergarten. The white blood cell is a full-fledged graduate policeman with a degree from the university. Okay, the red blood cell is a full graduate, how shall we say, doctor. Okay, a full graduate logistics expert. Okay. Now, if your child from kindergarten only makes it to high school, he doesn't become a policeman, he doesn't become a logistics expert. He is just a high school dropout. Okay. Now, that's what's happening when your bone marrow cells don't mature properly. You have enough blood cells, but these blood cells are high school dropouts. They don't actually do what they're supposed to do. They're high school dropouts. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that as many kindergarten kids graduate to become full policemen and full logistics expert. Logistics experts because the red blood cell carries nutrients and oxygen throughout your body. Policemen because your white blood cells act as policemen and soldiers to fight cancer and other infections. All right. So this is the PIPA liquid protocol actually helps your cells mature. So this is not just about protecting the bone marrow cells. It is also about making sure that your bone marrow stem cells, the blood stem cells, become red blood cells, become white blood cells, and keeps your immune system working properly. Now, of course, you can imagine how important this is for a cancer survivor, right? Imagine you fought cancer. The number of policemen and soldiers, many of them died fighting to win the war. Now you got to make sure that your body replenishes all the policemen, soldiers, and logistics experts. Why? To make sure that the other organs in your body continues to be strong and it continues to police your whole system so that the cancer cells don't form a little mafia gang again and then grow into a tumor. Okay, so you need your policemen to break out the little gangs to prevent them from becoming a big gang. And once they become a big gang, then there is problem. All right, that's when you get a big problem like demonstration on ETSA, a huge traffic jam. Okay, so that's basically the mechanism of what happened to Dominic and what was the effect of our PIPA protocols on a nasopharyngeal cancer. I think fourth stage, right? Fourth stage for Dominic. So that's a very late stage cancer. So for those type of cancers, you really do need a bit harsh, a bit more protocols that are a bit strong. So if you are a cancer patient in third or fourth stage, if you want to avoid chemotherapy and go for all natural, I will only encourage that if you were slightly older. All right. Like for example, you're 65, 70 years old, and then you say, I don't want to go for chemotherapy. I can actually understand because quality of life is very important to you. And I think just wanting to, you're not so concerned about how many years you have left. You're more concerned how the time you have left, you want it to be good, right? Now, if you are young, if you are 50, 40 plus, I would definitely encourage you that you be more aggressive in going about treating your cancer because you have many years, 20, 30, 40 years ahead of you. You want to make sure that you do a good job fighting the cancer. Again, as Sheila's doctor advisor, if she had gone for chemotherapy without Simply Nature PPARs, Dominic might not have survived. The chemotherapy might have killed him. So tonight, I think what we wanted to emphasize is there is a solution now. You can confidently use chemotherapy and know that the side effects will be minimized and that you'll get the best of both worlds, right? I won't go into great detail, but actually the Simply Nature PIPA protocol can be used to treat cancer naturally. That's what Doc Maddie does for patients who are too old or have special conditions that they don't want to go for chemotherapy. They're not, for example, their type of cancer, the chemotherapy drugs is not ideal. Or for example, if they have prostate cancer, which is a slow-growing cancer. It's so slow-growing that you can try natural. You have plenty of time to try natural. You don't have to go for chemotherapy, right? You can try natural until it doesn't work. Then you can combine chemotherapy. So certain cancers allow you to attempt a completely natural approach to it. Certain cancers, you don't have time for that. So it's very important to go to a doctor who knows the difference and not just go for, like in Philippines, there are a lot of people who do free health talks and these are done by non-doctors or they're not even supported by doctors if they're non-doctors. So be very careful. Cancer is a lethal disease. You want to be sure. You want to find someone who knows what they're doing.
Yes.
All right. So yeah. I think I've covered everything.
You did. Thank you, sir. I mean, everything actually makes sense, and I love the analogy that you actually explain how things and how PPARs really works inside the body, with the police and the ends. So it was very, very layman's term, and I believe that everybody really did understand. Thank you. You know, sir, a lot of questions are coming in already for the AMA.
So my last words before we go for AMA is number one, I pray that everyone who has spent time here tonight has found hope. Okay, and hope is so important because we are in a Holy Week. The Bible says faith is the substance of things hoped for. That means faith is actually the evidence of hope. You must have hope before you can have faith. Okay, so faith that is not anchored in hope is like, it doesn't last. It's like you're just fooling yourself. You got to have hope. Then you have faith built on that hope. So tonight, I hope, again, I use the word hope. Tonight, I think what we wanted to do is to show everybody by studying an actual live case study and explaining how it works, that you find hope tonight. I think there's nothing better on Maundy Thursday than to actually find hope, because what happened on Good Friday, and most importantly, the resurrection on Sunday, is all about hope, right? It's all about hope. It's a hope that we have redemption, that we will be able to see our Lord face to face when we finish our journey. So tonight, I hope that this session has given you hope, and now you know that there is a better way to treat your cancer. And for those of you who are hesitant about going for chemotherapy, now you can with confidence, right? Knowing that you will be well. And those of you who cannot, or chemotherapy is not suitable for you, or for some personal reasons, you still want to go all natural, there is no better protocol than our protocol to help you fight cancer naturally. Okay, I didn't go into great detail about how that is done tonight, the mechanisms. We can do that again, or you can ask me in the next segment, AMA, and I'll answer specifically. For example, for anyone who wants to treat cancer without chemotherapy, without surgery. All right, let's go to
my parting words. I'll share a little later after the AMA. But first, let's answer questions of our viewers. Okay, coming from Miss Lilibet. Hello, Miss Lilibet Palma. What are the foods does your son usually eat during his treatment? Oh, it's for me. Okay. All right. Thank you for the question. Okay. During the treatment, we were, I've said we were vigilant. We followed the plant-based whole food diet. So ever since he got diagnosed, we were told not to feed him any meat anymore. Which actually, before we had the PPARs, it tremendously weakened him, and also what do you call this? The weight loss was also tremendous. So, but after that, even during chemotherapy with the PPARs, it actually makes sense because I was told that PPARs has a lot of protein in it. So it did help him, regardless, or even though he was not eating meat anymore, the muscles were still there. So it was very helpful. Okay, the other question, okay, can PPARs replace chemotherapy?
Okay. Can PPARs replace chemotherapy? If you can't use chemotherapy, or if chemotherapy is not suitable for you, yes, PPARs is the next best alternative you can. For persons who 100% for personal reasons want a totally natural approach to fighting cancer, then PPAR liquid extract is your best chance. Now, here's another important thing to note for those who want to treat cancer naturally. When you want to treat cancer naturally, using PPAR liquid extract is your best chance and also is a foundational protocol, which means you could do additional things on top of taking the PPAR's liquid extract. For example, those who are treating it naturally will probably be talking to a integrative doctor. So an integrative doctor might be giving you intravenous vitamin C. That's one possibility. They might be prescribing to you things like curcumin, putting you on a very strict vegetable, plant-based, whole food diet. They might be giving you supplements in vitamin D, vitamin E, things like that. Okay. Now, all that works together with the PPAR protocol. But why is the PPAR protocol then the most important? Because I work with all sorts of doctors, from orthomolecular doctors to functional science doctors. These are the different schools of integrative doctors, right? So I can tell you one of the top orthomolecular doctors, he's actually one of the best in the whole Southeast Asia. He has very high success rate in dealing with cancer naturally. Okay, without intravenous vitamin C, he doesn't use intravenous vitamin C, right? So his approach is a bit different from Doc Maddie, but he has very high success rate. And when he came to know about our Simply Nature PPAR protocol, now for all his critical and serious cancer patients, in fact, for almost all his cancer patients, he will use our liquid extract and then our soft gel capsules. But you will ask me, Shen, you said that he already has a very good success rate in treating cancer naturally. Why would he then use the PPAR extract? So this is a good example of how great our protocol is for treating cancer naturally. Okay, he uses it because it is a catalyst. Let me give a simple example. All the other vitamins and protocols that this doctor is using is like the petrol. It's like the motor oil, the petrol, the lubricant that you put in your sports car. Okay, without gasoline, your car cannot run. Without motor oil, the motor will damage itself. Without suspension fluid, your car's suspension won't work properly, right? Without air in the tire, the wheels will get destroyed maybe just in 200 meters. Okay, so all these things are important for your car, your sports car, to run. So if you pump air in the tires, if you put motor oil in the engine, if you make sure your brake fluids are there, and you pump the full tank of the highest grade super octane Shell Formula 1 petrol, everything is done. But if you don't have the key to your car engine, your engine doesn't start. So your car is prepped to win the race, to run down the track, but it doesn't start. Okay, so Simply Nature PPAR liquid extract is the car key. All right. So that's why I said if you don't have anything, if you have the key, you start the engine, you can go behind and push the car. All right, and hopefully it'll move. Okay, or if you don't have enough petrol, you won't go very far, but you will go a certain distance. That is why I'm trying to share with everybody that the Simply Nature PPAR protocols are the foundational. It is the car engine. Now, those of you who are having good results or moderate results in your natural protocols, you might be missing the Simply Nature PPAR protocol. Because what the liquid extract does is that it activates it's a gene activator. So it really functions at the mRNA level. It's a transcription factor. So what it does, it starts right at your cells, at the DNA level. And if you take the Simply Nature PPAR liquid extracts and powder extracts, it stimulates at the cellular level. Then it will require you to have the vitamin D, the vitamin C. Now, if the whole process doesn't start, even if you have vitamin C and vitamin D, it's not being fully utilized, right? So that's why for the orthomolecular practitioner, doctor that uses our product is so foundational. It makes his entire protocol work even better, right? So that answers your question on, can it replace chemotherapy? It doesn't work like chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is like a bomb. It attacks the cancer cell directly. Okay? Our Simply Nature protocol does not attack the cancer cells. It switches on all the fighting soldiers in your own body to fight the cancer cell. So
yes,
we work like an immunotherapy. We awaken your immune system to fight the cancer. Chemotherapy is not like immunotherapy. Chemotherapy is a bomb, directly bombing the cancer cell. Directly. The chemotherapy drug itself attacks the cancer tumor. Okay? And because of that, it also hurts your own body. Because if you blow up a bomb in your body, you will kill the cancer cell, but you will also do damage to those cells around it, right? So that's why we don't replace chemotherapy, but we can be used like a natural immunotherapy to fight your cancer. Now, when you use us together with chemotherapy, it's like giving all the rest of your organs a bomb protection shield. So that when the chemotherapy explodes in your body and kills the cancer cells, the rest of your healthy cells has some protection against the damage so that they don't get damaged so much, so that they can recover. And then you will do well in the whole chemotherapy, and you will do well after your chemotherapy because your bone marrow is intact. It will produce new policemen to take care of the small little cells left over from your chemotherapy sessions. Okay, I hope.
exactly, sir. Exactly, sir. I just want to because what I like about Simply Nature collaborating and being taken care of Simply Nature is that we are in collaboration with so many doctors out there. And what I can say is that based on my experience, I love the fact that we had a good relationship with our oncologist during the time that Dominic was in chemotherapy. And that's our aim here. We don't want to go apart or away from our doctors who are prescribing it, and who also have the same goal as us here in Simply Nature, because everybody wants you to be cancer free, and we want you to have a good relationship with them.
I just want to take this opportunity. If you have an uncle who has not heard of our protocol, which is very possible, right? Because there's so many oncologists out there. If they are hesitant, if they tell you, "Oh, don't take this," please drop us a note. Give us the name of your doctor. We have medical representatives that can go and talk to your doctor. And actually, we're very excited to talk to more doctors that who wants to know more about our product. So just recently, we have a new testimony on YouTube, right? This is actually a church mate of mine. She had a tumor in her throat.
Oh, yes.
She saw five ENT specialists. Five. All five says she cannot avoid surgery. All five says she cannot avoid surgery. And because she's a worship leader, her first question is, if I go for surgery, can I sing for the Lord again? Yeah, because she's a professional singer, right? So voice box, very important. And as you know, once you cut the voice box, there is always a chance that it will never recover perfectly. So it might affect a professional's ability to perform. She took our Simply Nature Pipa liquid and powder, and I think 10 days. That's all it took. When she went back for the checkup, the ENT checked her throat 3 times because he didn't believe. He's like, what happened?
Yeah.
He checked it twice. He said it's a miracle. It's totally gone. And then as she was going out of the office, he said, come back. Let me check it one more time. He checked it another time. It's actually in the testimony on YouTube. So maybe Sheila, you can just paste the link up here in the Facebook. All right. So for everyone to actually see. So this is another example. It's not a cancer, but it's a tumor. Right? The thing that fights a tumor, that makes a tumor disappear, is the same immune system process that fights cancer. It's the same. A cancer is a malignant tumor. Normal tumors are benign. But either way, to get rid of either benign or malignant tumor, it is the same mechanisms. It's the same immune cells that go about doing that. Okay? It's just that cancer cells have additional properties. For example, they don't die. Number 2, they have cloaking device. That means your immune system doesn't even recognize it. So these are all the characteristics of cancer cells that are different from a normal benign tumor. But again, just to answer the original question, how are we different from chemotherapy? Can we replace chemotherapy? The two work very differently, but the end result is that, yeah, you can use it to treat cancer naturally, but that's not something we advise. We
Yes.
always advise that if you can use chemotherapy, use, because everyone, they will reach a stage you can't use chemotherapy. So don't wait until you have no other tools except Simply Nature PPARs. Why not use all the available tools while you're still strong? Don't wait for your body to get too weak, because the weaker you are, the harder it is to go for surgery, the harder it is to go for chemotherapy. So while you're still strong, now that with Simply Nature PPARs, you should be very confident of going for all these.
Yes.
And if your doctor doesn't know about us, just tell us. We have actually professional med reps that will go and explain to them, so that we can also now have another doctor to join us and be able to treat all his other patients with PPARs and chemotherapy.
Yes, have that confidence, have that peace in mind as well. Okay, but before we go to the next question, sir, I just want to, of course, shout out all the viewers, not only in Facebook, but also on our YouTube, because we are simultaneously being shown there as well. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Okay, also, for those of you who still have questions, still welcome. We will try as much as we can to answer everything, but if not, then we can go individually, or we can park them and answer them in the next webinar. Okay, but first, our next question. By the way, your friend's story about the throat, losing her voice. I pasted on the comment section the link so you can watch it. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Her name is Miss Nesta. Okay?
Yeah, she's a wonderful worship leader. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So for the next question, okay. What will be his? I think his Dominic. What will be his new PPARS protocol after 5 years remission? Coming from Miss Lizelle.
Oh, okay, Dominic. If all things are well, just the tablets. All right, and the tablets. For all cancer patients, the tablets should be something you take. For everybody that's listening to the program right now, tablets is something you should take. I take the tablets. And number one, it's effective for metabolic syndrome. So if you have diabetes, blood sugar, blood cholesterol issues, hypertension, it works. Now, you will be saying, Shyan, you just said this is for cancer. Now, remember what I shared with you, how different we are from chemotherapy. Chemotherapy bombs the cancer directly. For us, we switch on the body system to fight cancer as it was meant to design to fight cancer. Now, for us to understand why being able to fight cancer also allows us to treat metabolic syndromes, then we have to understand a little bit about how cancers grow. Okay, cancer is a result of inflammation. Not a direct result, but inflammation causes stress, causes cells to be affected so that they will have to replace itself, or just like when you have inflammation, cells get torn down and rebuilt at the same time, right? So the more you rebuild something, there's a possible that there is an error in the duplication process. And that actually results in what is a cancer. A cancer is a cell that is duplicated wrong, okay? And then it duplicates itself, the wrong cell duplicates itself more and more until you form a cancerous tumor. Okay, so if dealing with inflammation is part and parcel of is how we manage to help fight cancer. But inflammation is also the cause for your blood cholesterol issues, right? Because if you have a stroke, if you have atherosclerosis, that means your arteries are being built up and fat is accumulating, you get a blocked artery. That's a result of inflammation. It's not really a result of cholesterol. Okay. Why? Because cholesterol flows in your blood anyway, whether you have a lot or a little. But what makes it stick to the side of your blood vessel is inflammation. So inflammation makes your blood vessels rough. All right. So if your blood vessels are not smooth, if they are rough, it's like frying meat in a non-stick pan versus a normal pan. Try frying your pancake in a normal frying pan. What's the problem? When you try to flip the pancake, what happens? It gets stuck, right? You a little bit pieces break there. Now imagine that's the wall of your blood vessels. So when the cholesterol, which is the pancake batter, you pour the pancake batter, imagine that is cholesterol. If your pan is a non-stick pan, guess what? the pancake will stick to the pan. It will just flow off the pan, right? So if your blood vessels are not inflamed, cholesterol won't collect on your blood vessels easily, so you won't develop a block. Okay, so actually, high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, the danger of the stroke, the clogged arteries has got to do with inflammation. Okay, so this is why after COVID-19, many people have heart issues, hypertension, high blood cholesterol issues. Why? Because COVID-19 virus has a long-term effect of increasing inflammation throughout your whole body and all the different organs. That's causing an increase in chronic inflammation, which results in the increased risk in all these common diseases like heart diseases, all right? And that's why after COVID-19, we see a lot of people having all these problems. Now, blood sugar, diabetes has got to do with your metabolic processes, and that also has an impact on cancer cells developing. Okay, so that's why for normal healthy adults, taking the tablets is what you need, and that's what Dominic will be on after his 5-year remission. Okay, and one more side effect. You look at the picture on your screen right now, Sheila and myself. What you do not know is the age difference. Sheila, I shouldn't ask. Okay, the age difference between us is significant. I won't disclose Sheila's age, but she's young.
Thank you.
I am going to be 50 years old next year. I'm 49 years old today. I've been taking Simply Nature PPAR tablets for the last since I was 27. So I've been taking it for 22 years without break. All right. So one of the side benefits of taking the PPAR tablets is anti-aging. Why? There are many reasons. Again, too many for me to go through tonight. But basically, if your blood sugar levels, your blood cholesterol, everything is healthy, you look young as well. Okay. So
actually makes sense, sir. Because we do have some patients who had diabetes and hypertension before they got diagnosed with cancer, and
yes,
not only the cancer was resolved, but also the metabolic issues as well. So
yes,
inflammation, right? So
yes, correct.
Okay, thank you, sir. And I'm just actually thankful as well to all the things that you have shown while Dominic was in his journey in cancer. You did not show a picture of me. I look really different that time.
Yeah,
So
I mean, now you are taking tablets too, right? You look much prettier and younger as well. Okay.
Yes, that one too. We have a lot of VIPs before. They are on liquid and PPARs, and now they are on tablets, and alongside with their families are also taking the tablets now. So it's possible. You're not forever on liquid. You're not forever on powder. Don't worry. Okay. All right. So for the next question, I'm not sure, Miss Nicole Pe, what your question is, but the question is any case of recurrence or spreading.
Okay.
Yeah, Dominic.
I think what she's asking is, can PPAR protocols help with the spread and recurrence? It definitely helps with the recurrence, right? Your cancer recurs because your immune system, because now you're not taking any chemotherapy, you're not doing anything, right? So your immune system is not tackling the leftover cancer cells. That's why it comes back. So what happens with people who got cured of cancer through natural means? Okay. Now, will there be a recurrence? The recurrence is dependent on what you do after you get well from cancer. So if the first thing you do for the first 6 months after you're cancer-free, you're celebrating every day, taking barbecue, Mang Inasal, and all these fast food, eating ice cream, drinking Coca-Cola 3 times a day, because you're celebrating, because you didn't eat any of these things for the last 1 year. If you do that, then of course, nothing can help you. The cancer will come back. All right. Why? Because don't feed the cancer cells that are still circulating in your body. Okay. So recurrence has got to do with you adopting a lifestyle that is different from before your cancer treatment. Okay. You got cancer, the cancer developed because of your lifestyle before the cancer. So your old lifestyle created the cancer. Now that you are cured from cancer, don't go back to the old lifestyle because it will create cancer again. And this time, it already has the old cancer cells running around in your body. So it won't take 5 years. It won't take 10 years for cancer to develop. It will develop very quickly. So how do you prevent recurrence? Number one, make sure you go on a healthy lifestyle, which means largely plant-based. Stop drinking soft drinks and things like that. Eat more vegetables, eat less meat or no meat at all if it's possible. Okay, and then make sure you take supplements. Okay, because you're already proven case that cancer occurred in your life. For people who has family history of cancer, they are already prone to getting cancer. So let me share with you what it means that if your family members have cancer. It means that imagine your body is a garden. Okay, and let's say cancer is, I don't know, something red. Cancer are tomato plants. Okay, so if you have someone in your family, let's say your uncle, your mom, your dad has cancer, it means that your garden, your body, has the tomato seeds already planted into the ground. If you water the garden, the tomatoes will grow. That means if you water your body with the wrong things like lots of meat, barbecue meat, soft drinks, processed food, stress, your cancer will develop. Now, if you scatter tomato seeds in your garden, but you don't water the garden, what will happen? Absolutely nothing will happen. The seeds won't grow because the seeds need the water to be able to grow. Okay? So it doesn't mean that if you have cancer in your family history, you will definitely get cancer. No, you have to feed that cancer seed for the cancer to come. So if all your aunts have breast cancer and you are a lady, is it possible for you to go through your whole life without getting breast cancer? Yes, it is. Number one, don't eat the foods that your aunt eats. You'll notice a family that gets cancer together because they all eat the same diet, all right? Now, so you got to live much healthier than your aunties did, all right? Don't live like them. If you don't live like them, you won't develop the cancer that they gave you in your genes. Here's an additional good news. The good news is if you break the cycle, if you can go through your life and give birth without developing cancer and later you don't develop cancer, there's a chance that you start to break a gene in your family. And if your daughter also does that, there's a good chance that your granddaughter will no longer have the cancer genes. So this is something pretty interesting, right? Of course, imagine your whole family tree, nobody had cancer, and you're the first one to get cancer. Guess what? Your son or your daughter will now have the cancer genes in them. All right. So you could either be someone who started the cancer or you could be someone who breaks the link of cancer. So it's both good and bad news, right? But I hope that gives you enough reasons to find out what you can do to break the chain if you are born with it.
I'd like to say it's a good news. Take it as that perspective for everybody. Okay. I just want to maybe correct a little bit because sir, you mentioned two more for Miss Nesta. It's cyst. Okay.
Oh, cyst. Sorry. Okay, cyst. Yeah.
No
a growth. Yeah.
Okay. Our viewers are really in for a treat today because you've explained so much and given so much good news as well. Maybe this will be our last question for tonight. Okay. All right. So my question here is, okay, can I take vitamin D3 before sleep, or perhaps take vitamin D3 alongside PPARs?
Oh yeah, I think it's really this is very timely. Yeah, just having a conversation about vitamin D3 actually. Okay, so apparently maybe half or more of the people today are severely deficient in vitamin D. In order to have sufficient vitamin D, you have to spend at least 2 hours in the sun per week. But you can't do it in one day and then 6 days you don't see the sun, right? And this is actually under the direct hot sunlight. So like the morning 6 a.m. sun does not count, okay? So if you notice over the last 3 years, most of us were locked in. And after that, we developed this habit to stay locked in even when lockdown is no longer happening. This has resulted in everybody all over the world severely deficient in vitamin D3. And that has some severe consequences on your health, including for cancer. So for those who, for example, nowadays you will notice a lot of women are losing their hair, thinning hair.
Yes.
Vitamin D3 is very important for hair growth. All right, so give you a simple, it's not surprising if someone does a blood test and find that their vitamin D3 level is 15. And for normal body functions, you need at least 30. So you're already half of what the normal body function. So guess what? All the vitamin D3 will go for your normal body functions and none for your hair. So you will start seeing your hair start dropping or start thinning. In order to have healthy hair, you have to have level of like 50. That means 30 for the body and extra 20 for the hair. Okay? So most people are like 15 or 20. So that's why many people nowadays have hair loss. Okay? Because honestly speaking, when do you see the sun? Probably a total of less than 5 minutes. In between walking buildings, when you get off the bus and walk that short distance before you're in another building, right? So the sunlight that we're in is not that hot, direct sunlight at noon. You need 2 hours of that. We don't get that. So we don't, and how long have we not been getting it? Years.
I would complain. 2 hours is too long.
2 hours per week, right? So it's like half an hour a day, 20 minutes a day, but we don't even get that. We don't even get that, really. And I walk to work and I think I only get 8 minutes of hot sun because I notice as I walk to work, I choose the path that has shade. Right? So
yes.
Don't get it. So to answer your question, no, vitamin D is great. Take the supplement. You know, you can take it together with your PPARs. It's not an issue at all. All right, I would have to check.
If it's okay to be taken before bedtime.
Yeah, sorry, I've been sometimes we talked about vitamin D, but talk about when the best time to take. Okay, it's recommended to be taken for breakfast or lunch. I think it makes sense, right? When does your body produce vitamin D?
Morning.
When there is the sun. So obviously, vitamin D is used by the body when there is sunlight, right? So your body does not produce vitamin D at night. So it's kind of, that means your body is designed not to produce or use vitamin D at night. It's designed to produce vitamin D during the day. And that means it's produced in the morning or at 1 o'clock. So it will last you all the way until the end. So it doesn't make sense to take vitamin D at night, right? Simple to understand.
Yes.
So naturally, your body produces vitamin D in the afternoon or in the morning when you're out in the morning sun and afternoon sun, right? So that since you're not out in the afternoon sun, why don't you take vitamin D when your body is supposed to be producing it? I think that is more ideal and it's very easy to understand.
Have it naturally, in other words.
Yeah. And can you use it together with PPARs? Of course, totally safe. And in fact, advisable, right? Because if you take a PPARs, it will activate your cells at a gene level and probably that will trigger the need for vitamin D. So
all right. Thank you so much, sir. I know that you have given your parting words a while ago, but perhaps a very, very extra quick one to our viewers here because we are in the new format of our webinar tonight and it's the first time.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for your support. I hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope that it has been a good learning experience. If it has, please leave a comment in the comment section saying that you enjoyed tonight's session or that you learned something so that we will know if we've done something beneficial for you. Again, we think that we wanted to do a case study. So next week, we're going to do a case study again, right? It'll be baby Jian.
Yes.
Sheila, can you tell us a little bit about baby Jian?
Yeah, I actually want to ask everybody if you enjoyed this format. This actually really aims to, encourage and give encouragement to all of you, whether you are a patient or you are a caregiver of your loved one, through the stories that we have here for patients who have undergone their journeys together with PPAR. So next week's journey and next week's story is about baby Gian who had hepatoblastoma. We've, just a little bit of a background. We've met baby Gian before she turned 1 year old. But before that, she has already undergone minor surgery. And before we met her, her doctors told his parents that she needed further surgery, which is actually very fatal. That is the reason why her parents inquired to us and was just like me, finding another option or alternative if they can maybe do away with not going for surgery. Yes, and avoid the surgery, which I think maybe the good news, they okay, yeah,
they avoided the surgery. Now, if you want to know how and why and what happened, join us next week as we take a look at the case of baby Gian. And from every case study, I hope that you will find a solution for your own health concerns. I think this is we for this next 2 weeks, we are moving away from just lectures or theory. I think it'll be really is helpful for our viewers and the medical practitioners that listen in, because anyway, in hospitals, they do case studies all the time. But for our viewers, I think it's very interesting to just try this new approach where we take a look at a case, and from there, you ask questions that come to your mind on how this case relates to your own health concerns.
Exactly. That's what we always get that question. What did they do? How did she do it? How did he do it? Why is it successful? So there, this is this is why we have this format for you guys. Okay, so just a little bit of some closing here. The information in this webinar is for informational purposes only. No material on this video is intended to be substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you have medical questions, we can hook you up to one of our people partner doctors here in Simply Nature around the world that uses our products and trust them. Even, I just want to reiterate this. Doctors trust our products here in Simply Nature. You can be confident and you can have that peace of mind that what you're using is actually FDA, not only FDA approved, but also recommended by doctors themselves. Okay. Okay. All right. I've mentioned a while ago that I'll be giving a little bit of parting words. I've always also mentioned that me being here is like God's intervention. I've always been convicted. And whenever I talk to someone, I have this feeling that I really want that person, I really want that patient to be in that same position where we are in right now, in remission or more so in survivorship already, because we always want the best for you. And we know that you also want, of course, the best for your loved one, for yourself as a patient. So I just want to everybody to meet my son, who is, like I said a while ago, he's already in 4-year remission. He's already, by the time he got diagnosed, he was 4, and now he is already 9 years old. So this is Dominic. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, everybody.
There you go.
Musta.
So there. So we really hope that I've given you encouragement and lessen the fear that you are feeling right now, in order for you to proceed further and do the next best actions to take for you to be in that position where you can undergo chemotherapy if need so, if this is what your doctors mentioned or advise you to do so, or maybe surgery or maybe radiation. Because one thing's for sure, we are here to help you further. We are here to take care of you as well. And we are here to guide you along your journey here in Simply Nature. Because as we always say, here in Simply Nature, we are always with you from start to healing. So once again, next week, thank you. We hope to see you once again, because next week, our topic is entitled Ways to Beat Hepatoblastoma, a Patient's Guide. There you go.
For the rest of the audience, it's liver cancer, okay? Just in case you're not familiar with the medical term. And liver cancer is difficult cancer to deal with. However, the liver is an amazing organ. You can cut 3/4 of it away, and 6 months later, it'll grow back. So yes, the liver is a pretty amazing organ. So we'll be talking more about that next week. So join us, same time. Looking forward to seeing everybody. And have a great Resurrection Sunday.
Yes, have a blessed week, Holy Week to everybody. We hope to see you once again in our next webinars to come here in Simply Nature. Thank you, everybody. Good night. God bless you all.